players go.
Well, Nidalee being taken away. It's kind of been a big champion in that mid lane of late. If you've been watching any of the matches that have been happening, the amateur games that have been going on, Yasuo banned out.
My word.
Well, we knew that one was coming.
My word. This is 5 mid lane bans. Now, Yasuo, we're expecting to see a lot this week. A lot of the EU mid laners are playing him, scrimming him, running him a lot. When he gets locked in, we'll touch on him more. Not a single tank has been touched, not a single support. The mid lane bans actually remind me of the OGN region. There was a great article put up by Cloth 5, I think it was, about pick and ban preferences. And Nidalee features a lot in OGN, less so here in Europe, and it's actually been removed from the pool. And the only sort of, dare I say, normal ban I'm seeing here is Elise. But every single mega tank's available, and that plays to Gambit's favor. They play mega tanks. Fnatic do not.
Well, sOAZ scratching his head, waiting to see what exactly is going to get picked up here. It could be Annie, because we talked about it. It's a champion that both YellOwStaR and Edward play, and it has been locked in.
It has to be Shyvana Mundo. I think this pick and ban, or the ban phase so far, has been phenomenal for Gambit. They left so many beefy bruiser, monster picks up and available because they play them. And Fnatic have gone, well, we're not really strong champions, and as predicted, Gambit have got the champions they want.
Well, we'll see whether they get locked in. They're currently hovered over. They've got 34 seconds to change their minds. Of course, we do have Darien in there making the choices, and Diamond laughing the moment he changes that. So I'm pretty sure that Rengar's not going to make an appearance. Also, I believe Rengar is globally banned.
I assumed he was disabled. I think when we were testing on TR, he was disabled.
Sure. Unless somebody's not told me, I'm pretty sure he's globally banned.
So Rengar should be disabled. We'll get this confirmed, but it is going to be the Mundo and Shyvana. This is what I'm expecting. On the other side from Fnatic, the only sort of counter that I can maybe see if they want to play a tanky top, sOAZ could default to the likes of a Malphite. It does sort of fit. He's not necessarily super powerful, but he's not super weak either. And we have seen sOAZ playing many times in the past.
Well, Vi getting locked in. We've seen Cyanide and Vi already before, and it does look like it's going to be Rekkles playing. I just saw the LeBlanc, and that's just that was insta-lock.
That was insta-lock.
ALec Ich wanted that champion, but it's actually blind picking up against Peke.
I think it's a bit of a brave pick, but it's also a positive pick. What it does for Peke is it forces him to pick a mid lane champion that's not squishy. And if he gets caught out by something that is a soft target, ALec can just continually pick up kills and roam around. The one thing that it does is a little scary. If he's the one that's focused to clean up kills and win team fights, he can get locked down by Cyanide's Vi incredibly quickly. So, a little scary, but if anyone's going to pull it off, ALec playing an insta-burst sort of assassin, that's what we like to see him on.
And of course, if you've been watching the OGN in Korea, the Champions Winter, you'll notice obviously the AD carries have been focused a hell of a lot, but right here, we're going to potentially see Lucian locked in. No surprise there, but these are champions that are actually being focused as bans in Korea, yet still all being drawn to the mid game. Do you think that's just based on it's game one, or is it because they're just not used to being the AD carries being as strong in Europe?
We've never really focused as a region on banning AD carries. So I think the fact that Lucian, Jinx, these guys got through completely is actually more of a stemming from the fact that we revolve so much around our solo laners and probably more our junglers actually than anything else. So, the Lucian getting through, as you mentioned, we've seen Lucian being banned so many times. The fact that Jinx is locked in over somebody like Sivir is another big highlight, because Sivir could actually help you counter Dr. Mundo and Shyvana. You get your mobility down, it allows your team to reposition. But at this point in time, all we're seeing is a pick comp, dare I say it, a lot of burst damage that can come in. And I'm so happy to see Trundle. I highlighted this earlier today. It's something we've seen picked against these mega tanks because of his ultimate. Subjugate is going to steal away the defensive statistics. It's going to make Trundle super beefy. They tend to build the likes of a Blade of the Rune King very, very early on. And Cloud9's European Challenger team, they were doing this all weekend long, and it's what helped them win this weekend. Yeah,
we should point out that is going to be sOAZ on Trundle in the top lane. That will be the top lane Trundle, and like you said, it's all about his ultimate. And actually, he said happened to just be talking to him like 30 minutes before being there, and he was like, you don't use it at the start, you use it as a big heal, as a big buff. So when he gets about half hit points in the big team fight, it is going to be huge for them. Thresh, potentially the Thresh Prince, will he return? He's back in Europe. He had his trip to America, but he is back home where he belongs in the European LCS. Eddie is on Thresh.
So with Eddie landing on Thresh, I'm already disappointed. He baited us into thinking these exciting picks were coming in, and lo and behold, Thresh is the one that's
Thresh is excited for Eddie, trust me.
It is. Well, I would have preferred Namumu. It's much more exciting. But what we are seeing between these two comps, I think Fnatic has got a very well-rounded composition. They've got good engage, they've got good disengage. You are going to underestimate the power of that pillar of ice which comes up from Trundle. A massive AoE slow, and it creates something you cannot pass through. Yes, Shyvana can dive over and LeBlanc can dive, but not many other people can. So I like the comp from Fnatic. On the other side, the longer this game goes, the more impossible it becomes to kill tanks because Mundo and Shyvana are just going to get super beefy. If they grab themselves a Thornmail, Jinx is going to have a tough time breaking through all that armor.
Well, we'll see whether any teleports get picked up by this time around. Of course, it used to be a huge feature in the European LCS last summer split, but of course that was when the likes of Sharu were there, forcing everybody else to do it. It kind of bled into the world as well, but I'm not expecting to see it this time around. No,
not this time around. Top lane teleport Mundo is sort of a thing. We tend to see him flash TP a lot. I think Looper probably from OGN is one that's done it the most effectively in my mind. And just double checking, it does look like Darien's actually locked in that TP as well. So he'll be looking to make plays in the mid game on those dragons.
So while the players get ready to face off, let's see who you guys at home think is going to win this matchup. Checking the votes online, 51% of you think that Fnatic will be coming away with a victory in this clash of rivals.
51% to 49. Traditionally, this is a matchup that's gone completely even, 8-8. However, it's very swingy. And if history's anything to go by, Spring split is Gambit split. So this may be 2% in the wrong direction. As far as picks are concerned, you can't give Moscow for Gambit, Shyvana, and Dr. Mundo. Just slip of the tongue.
It pretty much is. We're back at the Untitled Extreme Masters Kiev right here. This is where Gambit burst onto the scene. Of course, they have those key champions. They haven't got Gangplank this time around, though. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We are underway. Game 1 is about to start. Fnatic as the blue team against Gambit as the red team. The beginning of what could be an epic season for Europe.
Well, we'll see how this early game pans out. I think both champions, both teams have the ability to go for 2v1s, go for 1v1s, and it's going to come down to which team wants to push the towers quicker. As it stands right now, Genja and Edward, they look like they want to be trying to shut sOAZ down in that 2v1 lane, and they have got themselves up there nice and early. Defensive start from everybody.
Yeah, it looks like they're not going to go for anything in particular. We do see Mundo just lingering around. You can see the... Is this going to be a really tense game as well for these two teams? Because, you know, nobody wants to lose game 1 of the season.
Definitely not. You never want to start on a loss. You know, it just puts a sour taste in your mouth and forces you to play with a negative mentality. The one thing that I do see from these teams right now, though, is just the pensive start and the single sweeping lens here from Edward. It is rank 1, which means it's about a minute cooldown less than in the previous patch. And what it tells me is Genja and Edward may be going to invade the blue buff for the next spawn. If Edward can get some wards down after his first back, they may be wanting to challenge for their buff. And as predicted, see them slowly setting up in this top lane.
See Genja, Edward, Darien all making their way down now in towards that blue buff. They're not going to get spotted by the ward. Oh, they will get spotted by that ward. That's going to be big warning time for Fnatic. Will they try and counter it, though? We do see them potentially going to come around the back. They're going to actually try and pincer move here. They're going in for them.
This is a 4 versus 3. Gambit could be in trouble. Look for the Pillar of Ice here as Fnatic come in.
Genja gets completely stunned up. He's going to get locked up. The Ignite is burning on him. All 5 members come in there. It's sOAZ that gets first blood. It's Genja goes down, and now Darien's being chased out up towards the top. Looks like Edward is going to make his escape. He's going to go for the teleport away. Will he get away in time? Yes, he will.
Very well played by Darien to get out cleanly, but super important for Fnatic. That early ward that sOAZ put down gave them all the information that they needed, fended off the invade, fended the buff steal, and very importantly for them, also allows sOAZ to go 1v1 against Darien in this bottom lane with that first blood. He hasn't spent any money yet, but it's a good start for this new pick in the LCS.
So red buff being picked up by Diamond. We're back to normality for him. He's actually got double buffs already, so he's kind of ahead because of what was going on for Fnatic. While they got the kill, the assist, of course, it did put Cyanide behind in terms of jungle. We'll see how that develops, so because down in this bottom lane, we already see Darien going aggressive on sOAZ.
Now, in the early stages of this game, Darien's going to have a much better time dealing with sOAZ. Trundle needs levels and needs all of his abilities to be able to contest and deal with Dr. Mundo, especially with that Pillar of Ice being a big block in his way. We'll see how it pans out as they start to scale. Right now, double buff Diamond is about to find Cyanide. This could be Cyanide in trouble.
Cyanide's going to get caught engaged upon. Burnout running from Diamond. Of course, Burning Agony is on Mundo in the top lane, and Cyanide, he's been bullied away from this one, although he uses the taunt.
Well, we'll see.
Darien's there.
Yeah, got to be very careful. Gambit definitely playing this invade style right now. They're making it very clear. They want to put Cyanide's Vi behind. They want to allow Alex time to maybe level up and get scary as they catch YellOwStaR.
The hook on YellOwStaR pulls straight into the flay. Has to use that shield to try and stop the damage coming out. But Genja does get a couple of shots on him. Didn't create a big deal. Of course, those chompers were thrown down by Rekkles. We've got to keep our eye on that matchup.
Well, at this point in time, a massive favor in sitting with Rekkles, thanks to that CS lead, thanks to Genja and Edward's failed invade earlier on. We do see in the mid lane, it looks like Diamond's setting up, and they may go in for Peke. That's a flash!
A flash goes in. ALec Ich is going to lock on towards him. Diamond should come in to finish it off. Does manage to lock him down, and that is another kill, this time for Gambit.
Very good reply from Gambit. Alex was playing defensive enough that Peke thought he was safe. Peke was under no mind that Alex was going to dive in there, and luckily Diamond also avoids that brief knockback by Cyanide's Vi, and it means that Peke not only gives up the kill, that's 2 waves worth of experience and gold he's missing out on, which is key for Alex's LeBlanc. If he hits level 6 and can pop down Orianna before she gets any defensive stats, this is a very good position for Gambit.
It did, of course, mean that Cyanide came in and mopped up those lanes. But obviously, he'd been fell behind quite heavily to Diamond. Diamond putting the pressure on him. Back in this top lane now, Rekkles and YellOwStaR up against Genja and Edward. Lots of pressure on really both of these lanes, and you got to think of the pressure that's on Rekkles. He said recently, I've waited a year for this. I've waited my time to join Fnatic back in the LCS. Of course, he was with them at IPR5 back in Las Vegas a year or two, sorry, a year and a half ago now.
Yep.
And obviously he's had to do his duty, sit and wait. He played with Copenhagen Wolves. Honestly, he probably played more games than Fnatic with Copenhagen Wolves. Incredible amount of stats. We'll be getting to that later on. But it seems so far that even with him in it, despite the fact he is winning out the AD carry, actually, it's going to go back to that in a moment because we quickly lock up there. Despite the fact he's had all of this time to wait, he's kept himself up at the top of the level. Yeah, that's for sure. At this point in time, though, we're going to see how he pulls this one back. We do see Cyanide sneaking into this bottom bush. He is level 4. There's no additional lockdown available here if they throw themselves in Darien. So if this is going to be a dive, it's going to be a brave dive indeed. They have caught Darien. They're going straight in towards him. He has to force the flash straight away. It's going to be a tower dive, but it's not enough. Coming around the backside, he's going to be Diamond, though. Can he lock on towards him? Darien! Flash comes out from sOAZ, gets locked on towards him, but Diamond could go for the double kill. Get sOAZ, get one down. Cyanide is down, doesn't fancy taking on sOAZ. Darien definitely shouldn't have stuck around. He burned his flash, he was low. He should have known that sOAZ had not used his ignites, nor had he used his flash. It's not over yet, as now sOAZ is still toying with Diamond, and as we talked about, that level 6 combo from Alex in mid, allowing him lane control. So a little bit of misplay from Darien. Maybe we spoke too soon. Maybe feed to win is the way to go in this game. We'll see whether it works out that way. Of course, generally when he does die, he tends to die a lot. It just tends to snowball and follow through. And sOAZ, of course, 2-0 up, did manage to get that first blood of the game. But it is, once again, this top lane, Genja and Edward pushed up against their tower. Big differential building, 56 to 36 CS right now between Genja and Rekkles. The threat potential of an Annie in the early game is immense because of the fact that Edward's hook has a very high cooldown. If he throws it out, doesn't connect or misses, he's got no more zone or threat potential. However, YellOwStaR running around with that stun primed means you cannot go in for poke. You cannot go all in unless you want a full complete fight. So I think YellOwStaR is playing this zoning perfectly, and they've allowed themselves to pick up all of this additional CS, which stems all the way back to that very, very early invade. But good play for Rekkles and YellOwStaR to maintain control of that lane. Well, the blue buff goes across towards ALec Ich, and of course they will have the timer on the Fnatic blue buff. Remember, they were over there exchanging for that one at the very beginning, so we'll see whether they try and counter that one. Peke will be heading over that way at the moment. Cyanide isn't around there, although he's going a little bit early, it seems. Yeah, just a tiny bit at this point in time. Now that we've finally got a little bit of a slowdown in the game, I just want to touch on some of the things that Trundle can do, which are very, very key for this matchup. First of all, in these prolonged sieges and in this longer laning situation, he's going to be able to get a lot of HP back thanks to his passive. He gets a percentage of whatever's died around him, so minions, etc.
One of the other things that he does well is he steals stats. His Chomp steals attack damage, that's his Q, and his ultimate Subjugate steals health as well as defensive statistics. So it is something to keep an eye on. Yellow's gone in!
Got flash straight in, Tibbers on towards him, but there's not enough damage coming out, and now YellOwStaR gets pulled in towards the tower. Diamond joins them at the top here. This could turn out horribly for Fnatic. That's going to be a double kill! The super mega death rocket! Oh, and Diamond gets flashed away by Rekkles, but can he close the gap? He's going to go in towards Rekkles. He should. No! Barrier bait pulls him out, and they don't get anything.
Ladies and gentlemen, the super mega death rocket with the execution takes out Genja and Edward. YellOwStaR and Rekkles, I thought they bit off more than they could chew. Going in 2v2, Diamond, no vision for Fnatic, but they made it work. Two things that happened. The start, now they're on Darien.
That's a quick assault and battery out towards Darien. They try and knock him back. They're going to have to go full dive on this one, and they may well be able to do it. He forces them back. Tower hits going on towards sOAZ. Pops the ulti. What is he doing? He's got ALec Ich coming in as support. Tries to lock in. Cyanide's going to be the focus target. There's the stat stealing going on. Cyanide taken low, but is it going to be too much? Can they turn it around? The teleport comes in there. They try and get around this one, and sOAZ forces them back.
Very good roam by ALec Ich, moving down the moment he's seen something was available. It's not over yet. As Edward may fancy a go. Does have flash, does have hook, and I think this is going to be very difficult. sOAZ does have the ability to speed himself up with that ground meta. That's just there. Moving away. Oh, getting excited for Edward. Take a look at Diamondprox's position. He started Dragon.
He started Dragon off, and that was what they were trying to do, just bully them away. And Diamond's going to need a little bit of help in this one. He can't solo it out. Genja's going to have to head on down there. The top bottom lane are coming in as well. So Edward and Darien, this will be first Dragon, 9 minutes 50 into the game for Gambit.
Very well played by Gambit to balance it out. It may be at the cost of their tower. Alex should be able to get in range quickly enough, and a very good ward by YellOwStaR will at least throw them off. So there we go, trading Dragon for tower. Good play by Rekkles and YellOwStaR to realize that they can actually push that objective down. I think net win for Fnatic because of the additional pressure they brought themselves and control from that top lane.
So let's take stock of the situation. Obviously, Rekkles got that double kill in that top lane. He went back and got himself almost a bloodthirster completed there. And of course, he has got the basic boots as well. Big advantage over Genja already.
Well, we'll have to see how he makes it stick. One of the things Jinx does better than any other AD carry at this point is damage, especially at that level 6 mark. She's going to deal more than Lucian thanks to the execute ability on her ultimate. The one thing it does, you do give up though when you play a Jinx, you're not as safe as a Lucian. We do see Pekka being jumped on.
ALec Ich going aggressive there, didn't quite get enough down, but I'm looking at the bottom lane. 4 members of Fnatic going to start stacking up here, Trevor.
Well, it looks like they may want to try to take the tower down. I think if Fnatic decide to play this sort of fast, well, as we say that, sOAZ backs off, but if they try focus down the tower, they have the option to get all the outers down, set up vision to challenge for buffs on this next spawn in the next sort of minute and a half, 2 minutes, and then go for the next dragon, which I think is probably what they're setting up. A good bait there by sOAZ in the recall. There's no ward just a Gambit. Got to be a little careful.
Well, they seem to know the position of Cyanide because look at Diamond. Diamond's just come in, taking everything away from the jungle of Fnatic. This is almost like the old Moscow 5, like you mentioned at the start. Coming in, taking everything. It's what Darien and Diamond do best together. However, they're falling behind Fnatic in terms of kills. Of course, in terms of gold as well, it's definitely going their way. ALec Ich still not quite getting the flow that he wants to against Peke in the mid.
He is doing fairly well for LeBlanc, though. LeBlanc is very difficult to CS with, especially in the early game. And to be only 10 CS behind an Orianna, who's phenomenal at CSing, I think Alex is doing a very good job, keeping himself in the game, keeping himself relevant. He is also blowing his ultimate basically on every cooldown. Just before we switched away from mid lane, you could actually see that that Mimic spell had already been used. The biggest story right now, though, is that because of Cyanide's repeated gank attempts, he's about 35 CS behind Diamondprox, who's just farming his way and counter-jungling his way into a controlling position.
And Darien not seeming to care too much about sOAZ, who's having to come in towards his top lane and churn through as much as he can. Darien heading back. They have full vision of him. He actually just passed the pink one, didn't even bother destroying it. Despite the fact it's visible, he didn't care. He wanted the top golems.
Not using attack move. It's something we see actually very often. And I know during the quarterfinals of OGN, there was one pink ward that lasted about 14 or 15 minutes, if I recall. Just nobody attack moved through the bush. We'll have to see how long that pink does survive. His vision, definitely in favor of Fnatic. If you look all the way down the river, take a look at how much control they have, especially on entrances to their jungle. I think Fnatic have realized Gambit are doing a lot of counter-jungling, a lot of invading, and with all the wards that they have set up, they may want to challenge the next time that Diamondprox comes knocking.
We'll see how it works out at the moment, though. looking back towards the middle lane, we do see Peke once again engaged on by ALec Ich, not managing to really land his full combo. Flash tippers on towards Genja straight away. He should be at dot away. No! Completely locked up, and he had nothing he could do.
Nothing he could do. The stun wore off and he was locked in place by the Flame Chompers, plus all of the burst that this BF Sword Vamp Scepter Jinx has. There's nothing Genja could do. He needed Edward with him. Without Edward around, they were able to go for that engage. And unfortunately for Gambit, they're going to lose their second tower right now. As Rekkles gets excited, going to clear this wave up, and he's going to back off to buy.
Well, not a bad first game straight away, but as you see again, once again, ALec Ich going in towards Peke, still not quite landing that leash. That full combo on towards him, and Peke just dodging out, using that defensive ball. Diamond once again hunting around, invading the jungle.
Yeah, that does two things here from ALec. We keep seeing the same combo because he wants to be able to farm. He's still only 10 CS behind, and he doesn't want to let Peke roam. He doesn't want Peke to leave that lane to try and help any of the rest of his teammates, or even try to prevent the counter jungling. So by getting in Peke's face over and over and over, it's basically removing that extra force that Fnatic could call on.
Edward sat lying in wait in his mid lane, but ALec is already backing off. ALec has actually gone for wolves. Edward's like, guys, I'm stood here waiting. But ALec didn't care, he's gone back to wolves. Diamond's going to be taking that red buff. He is on a farming mission right now in this jungle, and this may become a problem as we get into the late game.
I think it's definitely going to become a problem. He's already been, invaded multiple times without being shut down at all. He's got 2 kills to his name, and we've seen just how scary Shyvanas can become if they're left unchecked. The one thing I would also like to talk about with the junglers, in this patch, the Spirit of the Elder Lizard, the passive has been changed from that Bounty Hunter, which gave you bonus gold on kills, to now the Conservationist, I think it is, which gives you bonus gold on the large camps in the jungle. So at the very least, Cyanide is going to be earning more gold than you would usually see in previous patches with that item.
Well, as I'm talking about their item builds. Oh, actually, Peke is going to get engaged upon once again. This time the leash does land, but not a great deal of damage still coming out from Peke. ALec Ich on towards Peke. Peke just not pulling the trigger yet. He's really holding on to that shockwave. Doesn't want to go aggressive, but it was the top laners I want to talk about. sOAZ. sOAZ going full damage build, it seems, while Darien, of course, going that standard tanky Mundo.
Yeah, Blade of the Ruined King is actually sort of the standard item that you would pick up on a Trundle. You see these 2 super tanks going back and forth. Neither has used their ultimate yet. And one of the keys for Trundle is look at his HP mid-fight as he goes down. We'll see when he decides to use Subjugate. Doesn't even need it right now. Just Pillar of Ice, and that gets rid of Darien. And I think it's a good pick from sOAZ, but we need to see if he can deal with 2 super tanks. One-on-one, Trundle's going to do fine. He's going to steal your stats, 40% of your armor and MR, and gives it to himself for about 6 or 8 seconds. It's a very good position to be in this mid-game.
Well, Diamond knew the timer, but this time around he's being countered by Fnatic. YellOwStaR already coming up there. We've seen what a problem that YellOwStaR and Rekkles have had down that bottom lane. We've got Peke joining him, trying to throw out that ball, trying to get on towards Edward.
Peke's being surrounded. If he gets caught by a cleaver, they may want to dive this.
They're going to go straight in towards it, and they have enough to tank him on the turret, but the shockwave pulls in Darien. Darien taking a few tower hits, wasn't quite in range towards the end when that shockwave went off. He should be able to tank that through. Of course, his ultimate's not available yet.
Not just yet. Darien is going to have sadism up in a couple of moments' time. So right now, Fnatic, they're not grouped to challenge for this dragon, but they are going to decide to push the towers down. They want map control. They're giving away a second dragon, and Gambit may pick a fight here if they can get in from behind.
Edward coming around the backside of them. Remember, Shockwave was already used. The cooldowns down. They do take the tower down. Diamond has to try and jump away from this one. Dragon's Descent is going to help him get away. 1 kill goes towards Gambit, but is it going to be enough? They're going to try and tank off. Look at sOAZ going in there. He wants Edward. He gets Edward. Can he finish off anyone else? It doesn't seem that way. It's going to be a 1-for-1 jungler for support.
Trading 1-for-1. Very good reactionary play from Gambit. Once Cyanide dove in there, Vi threw herself into the team. They focused him down, shut him down, and then retreated. I think Genja made a big misplay not being with his team. He was split pushing, farming in the bottom lane, as only Genja does against teams like Fnatic in the LCS. And if he had been there earlier, maybe that fight could have gone a little bit better for them.
He's just said it exactly. It's something that we've honestly criticized Genja for so often. Normally, his position in team fights is immaculate when he's there. But so often he just isn't there. It's just like he's busy farming down the bottom. And honestly, he needs to keep the farm going because Rekkles, he's pulling away.
Yeah, I think that's one of the key reasons he wasn't with the team in this particular instance. He's 30 CS down. He's 3 kills down. And yes, there are 2 dragons with his team, but that doesn't make up for the 3 towers that they've lost. Fnatic right now find themselves about 2,000 gold in the lead. with all of the outer towers down, they need to get some deep wards. And I'd like to see maybe a second sweeping lane so that they can start invading, clearing the wards, getting vision control, and then making play on the blue, the red, and the dragon, which they haven't been in Gambit's jungle at all. They've been playing very reactively so far.
Well, while Fnatic have taken those 3 turrets, Gambit, of course, not taken a turret yet, so technically that's money in the bank waiting to happen. However, they need to start making a push on some of these towers, and they've not really dented any of them yet.
This, part of the reason I think they haven't made a push in the towers is Diamond's immense focus on jungle control. You know, Diamondprox is sitting at 111 CS. He's almost the same CS as Genja, to put things into perspective. And he's spending so much time roaming and stealing camps as opposed to helping AD carries and pushing the tower. And right now, Diamond may want to pick a fight here with sOAZ. He does throw down the filth and is going to get away. Yeah,
he just passed straight by a ward in that tri-bush once again. I don't know whether it's not the pink ward anymore, but he went straight across it. Diamond's going to try and close the gap here, but you can see Cyanide is reacting, puts a ward down by blue. They have him covered, and well, sOAZ wisely trying to back away from this one, sticking around that tower.
The rest of Gambit, though, are grouping up in the mid lane. They actually had a numbers advantage here. They had a 3v2 setup without YellOwStaR being there, and they could see clearly Rekkles pushing, but I think they're erring on the side of caution right now, realizing they're a little bit behind. They've backed away and they haven't actually committed to that tower. Once again, Diamond with his focus, he's making it very clear. He wants to be in the jungle. He wants to be in Fnatic's side of the map, creating a psychological terror as well as denying them all of those objectives.
They do have great vision control though. They saw every single little bit of movement of Diamond there, so they know that the bottom is pretty much clear, and again, now they're going to group up and keep on shoving those waves. In terms of farming, well, it's actually even because there's a couple of lanes winning it back and forth. You can see sOAZ actually does have a slight edge over Darien right now. Of course, let's not forget, he's got 3 kills, so in terms of gold, you can see it's around about 500 gold difference. In terms of jungle, though, look at that big difference between Diamond and Cyanide.
And even bigger in the AD carry role, 2,000 gold separates Rekkles and Genja, a BF sword as well as the, attack speed dagger, so Rekkles is in a very strong position, and he needs to make use of that power spike right now. You can see Fnatic grouping up as a 5-man team. They've got immense vision control. This tower's going to fall before Gambit can even get there.
They're going to try and bully their way through it. Again, that tower does fall. Gambit cannot react to it, and that is the 4th tower without reply that Fnatic have taken down.
We talked about in the pregame how during Intel Extreme Masters and Battle of the Atlantic, Fnatic did not look crisp and they did not look coordinated, especially with the roaming and the rotations. This time around, they're making it very clear they've got great vision control. There's going to be a love tap here from Diamond on somebody who decides to back away. And I think very good positioning from Fnatic, realizing with the vision we've got, we can just quickly rush down this tower. Static Shiv Bloodthirster on Rekkles. He's a tower-killing monster, and they're shoving them down one after the other.
Looks like they're going to try and group up here, dragging up. It's a good and 1.5 minutes, so they're not going to go pushing for that. It seems in mid lane, they may well just try and prevent Gambit. They expected a reaction. Didn't come from them, and Gambit happy to just sit this one out for the moment.
Gambit have always been able to win late-game team fights, but they need to be able to, they need to not fall too far behind. 3,000 gold right now is a sizable chunk, and, in 3.15, that's actually a pretty strong lead at this point in the game. The numbers would have been higher on Season 3 patch because of course, towers were worth more, etc., etc. So the one thing Gambit needs to do is prevent falling further behind. They can't give up too many dragons, and they can't give up more kills, and then the scaling of Mundo and Shyvana will help bring them back in these later team fights in the next sort of 5 or 10 minutes.
50 seconds into a Dragon, and it seems that teams are almost certainly setting up for that one. Fnatic have all backed off. I'm expecting to see sOAZ start to head south in a moment once he wipes out that wave. You can see Gambit already setting up, trying to sweep those wards away, but nothing to be found so far. Edward's actually been the only one that was sat on that sweeping lens for a good portion of the game. Now we can see 2 being picked up by xPeke and YellOwStaR.
Yeah, we'll see them starting to make them, pay dividends. As you can see, Fnatic actually just using the cooldowns, getting rid of any vision as they approach different areas of the map. Alex is playing very patient, but he stood right on top of Fnatic ward. I almost thought that that sweeping lens could have been a bait, but nevertheless, Fnatic right now got a good number set up. They're going to try force the mid lane tower. If they can win a fight in the tower, they'll roll back to Dragon. And once again, Genja is nowhere to be seen. He needs to react very quickly.
Yeah, he's not in position right now. He's going to make a move. This Dragon has just respawned. You can see Fnatic, 5-man, already pushing in to get in towards that spawn point. Genja's still only at the inner turret in the mid lane, so he's got a long way to go yet. And Fnatic have already started this one off. Now the rest of Gambit close in.
Yeah, the super tanks are grouping up. Diamond is going to go in. Sadom's come down, and here's the fight.
It's Darien they're going to focus on towards, but the shockwave doesn't manage to really land. It's only Darien. Darien tanking out all the damage. There's the Cologne coming out now. Dow can this time. ALec Ich, he needs to land the target in the right position, but it's not going to happen. It's Diamond he went for. ALec Ich not going to land his combo, and now he's in trouble. That's going to be his Mimic going down, and now Genja's trying to run away from this one. Fnatic doing a fantastic job of chasing. The pillar stops him dead. Darien is in all sorts of trouble. There's going to be a duel between Genja. Can he turn it around? No. Peke gets in there. It's a double kill for Rekkles. Edward's in trouble now. He's going to get chased down. It could be the triple. Yes, it will. Rekkles is 6-0-2.
This is a fantastic position for Fnatic. They engaged the dragon, knowing that Genja wasn't there. Gambit blew so many resources to try and kill Cyanide, and Cyanide got away. He didn't even expend his flash. The rest of the carries from Fnatic were just able to pick targets single, one at a time, because Diamondprox and Darien, they went in alone. They didn't have the support of the rest of the team. It was a split-up Gambit. Fnatic win the fight, get a bunch of kills and Baron, and now they're in a commanding lead.
You know, speaking to Fnatic before this game, while they were having their food, preparing for this, they were telling me, D-Man, I'm worried. We're worried about this game coming into it because we've won all our scrims. We normally lose our scrims and then win the games, but he said we've won all the scrims. We are very worried about this one, and it seems they've come into this one highly focused.
Yeah, take a look at the replay. This is exactly what I was talking about now. Diamond is up at the top of your screen. Darien is nowhere else, and you know, the shockwave, yes, it only caught Diamondprox, but the key is that Gambit are two split up. That's a 5-man death ball of Fnatic. They pick a single target, focus him down, and you've got, you know, Orianna dealing damage, you've got a Blade of the Ruin King Trundle dealing damage, and of course Rekkles with red buff, with area of effect splash damage, thanks to that, you know, switcheroo on a Q, using the rocket launcher, continues chasing down, and it just boils down to Gambit being not grouped up enough. If Genja was there 5 or 10 seconds earlier, they could have committed to a fight as a 3-man or 4-man, and it would have worked in their favor.
And that's another turret going down. 5-1 now in Fnatic's favor in terms of turrets. Of course, they have that Baron buff on them as well as that 4,000 gold lead building up. Fnatic are in control of this game. They have that blue buff, though, being stolen away by a cheeky Darien.
And he does have teleport. This teleport not necessarily working out for him just yet. He may decide to use it to sneak away, or he's going to just get a nice smart pathing. No vision here from Fnatic.
Well, they know where he is.
He may get caught out. He should be able to save him away. He had his ultimate for movement and etc. So Darien gets away with a nice little steal. But I think the one thing I'd like to highlight, he hasn't used his teleport enough. We haven't seen it being needed, and I'd like to see it being used to maybe wrestle some map control back. Let Darien split push, try to take the bottom outer tower, and teleport to a fight early so he can be ready to actually battle.
Darien feeling confident up against sOAZ, despite the fact sOAZ is 3-0-4 on a top lane trundle. It's something I have not seen in competitive gaming for a very long time, but it works so well. Now they're going to engage.
He's dead.
That's going to be another kill. Peke picks it up this time around. There's the shockwave pulling in the rest of Gambit. Gambit are dropping like flies. It's a triple kill for Peke. Can he get the quadra? Diamond is just going to bully them away. They don't care. They're going for the tower.
sOAZ didn't even use his ultimate in that fight. The dive potential of that via Salt and Battery shut down Gambit. Now they're onto the inhibitor turret.
That's going to be the inhibitor turret going down. Diamond can't prevent this one. He has to back away. The rest of Gambit coming out now as they're going to slowly spawn. Diamond joining them. But that is the first inhibitor of the game. Fnatic in total control of this match.
7,000 gold. They didn't give Gambit the chance to react. And I think Gambit have been all over the place. They haven't been able to defend one of their own towers. And Fnatic's been able to just read, where do we have an opportunity? Where is that window just a little bit open? And they dive through it every single time.
Fantastic stuff. 13-5 now for Fnatic in terms of kills. But more importantly, it's a 8,000 gold lead along with that 7-1 turret advantage. And item-wise, it is cannon in them ahead. You can see Gambit, again, trying desperately to get that, but look at the hit points on that turret. They've barely scratched the surface.
Haven't been able to at all, and I think if you go all the way back to the beginning, if Diamond had maybe spent a little bit more time shoving the lanes, it could have worked out for them. If they got a kill and pushed it towards the towers, maybe they could have got some more damage on these outer, outer towers, but it's not working out for them just yet. As it stands, 160 CS Shyvana does have that Randuin's, and sOAZ and Darien, they're going to go toe-to-toe. very slow, boring fight.
Well, he's got his sadism available. There is the ultimate being popped. Tries to just jump around there. He may actually try and go aggressive, but look at this. Diamond's going to come and join him. They have a tower to tank through. He's going to keep on following. He's tanking up the turret. He's tanking up sOAZ. The shockwave misses. Diamond comes around, but again, they don't have enough to finish him off. Has to drag the descent away. YellOwStaR comes in, throws Timbers down. Darien goes down. It's Peke that picks up the kill. Now they're going to go to Diamond. The rest of Gambit have given up on this one. They know that Diamond is dead. It's a matter of who gets the kill. It's going to be Peke for another.
6-1-5 on Orianna. I am so sorry I called you out for your Renekton play. That was terrible. This is not. Absolutely unstoppable. A slow start to the game. Peke was being jumped on by ALec every single time that Mimic spell was available. And from being put so far, you know, playing so passively in the laning phase, Peke's made it all up now in this mid to late game. Now all of a sudden Fnatic with a 4-man push in this bottom lane. They're gonna go for their next inhibitor turret.
Yeah, the inhibitor turret's going down. Tibbers does drop to the culling, but that's about all it's gonna get from it. They've taken half the hit points off that turret already. And Fnatic are so strong, and just look at the difference between those bottom lanes. We focused on it early in the feature, and of course 6-0-5, 0-0-12 for Rekkles and YellOwStaR. They had such a horrific battle at the Atlantic, but they've really turned it on here when it counts.
Yeah, non-stop, dive after dive. YellOwStar's stuns and his initiations with Annie have been on point. And I think that maybe if Edward had gone for a slightly different support, maybe a Leona who would have done well in this meta, you could have got in Annie's face a little bit quicker, could have slowed down this dive potential of the backline of Fnatic. But that is hindsight. As it stands right now, Fnatic with a 5-man. They're getting in on the tower. They've caught Cyanide.
Edward just gets pulled in by the shockwave. Drop right down. Diamond, how tanky is he? It doesn't matter. He's just getting dropped straight down. That's the inhibitor turret going down there. Cyanide going to run away from this one. Darien desperate for the kill, but he just can't get it. And now Rekkles comes back around the side. He's hitting everything. Peke gets the kills. It's another double for him. He's 8-1-6. The inhibitor. This is going to be game Fnatic.
Cyanide didn't even die. He got out. He dove into 4 members of Gambit, and the super tanks are tanky. It took them a while to die, but they didn't have enough damage. LeBlanc, ALec Ich has been unable to find priority targets, and Fnatic in 30 minutes are going to pick up the first victory of the LCS.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. Fnatic just tanking down slowly. Will they get forced away? It seems they will. sOAZ gets hooked. Can he go down? He's at 3-0-10. The last thing he wants to do is die and lose one of those stats to Diamond. And again, they back away. It's going to be delayed a little bit here, but I don't see any other outcome.
There is so little that Gambit can do to pull this game back right now. 2 inhibitors down, super minions in both of the lanes. And remember that super minions are more powerful now. Bonus of 70% bonus damage to the minions around them, as well as additional armor and MR. It's going to allow Fnatic to group up, push the top lane. Maybe they go straight for the inhibitor, or, as we're more likely going to see, watch them grab a Baron, then go top lane and let the super minions push middle and bot.
Well, I can tell you the players have already said GG, but they're refusing to surrender. It's like Gambit. The Russians will not surrender in this game, like they never have ever before. So why not just stick it out? See if they can do anything crazy, whether there'll be any turnaround. I highly doubt it, though. And of course, there is the Baron. Gambit know that they have to go for it. They're going to try and rush in there, see if they can go for it. But it seems that Fnatic are already red. Wait.
Yeah, and the longer that Fnatic can hold Gambit here, the better. Super minions are in. They pick the fight.
Shockwave on Edward once again. He gets dropped before he even uses that ultimate. He gets taken straight down. Darien comes in. Diamond comes in. The tanks run in the front line, but they just don't have enough damage to follow through. That's going to be another double kill for Peke. Darien's going to get focused on. One more hit should take him down. It's not going to be from Rekkles this time around. It will be. Finally takes him down. He's 8-0-9. Peke 10-1-7. And YellOwStaR, the unkillable, 0-0-15, the perfect support right now, and Gambit are just licking their wounds.
Engage after engage has been perfect from YellOwStaR. He didn't even need Tibbers in that previous engagement. They only burned the shockwave. All 5 members of Fnatic on the Nexus, and it's finally over.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Fnatic take game 1 of the European 2014 season of the LCS, and what an impressive debut for Rekkles right there. Ending the game 8-0-9 with a 0-0-15 support alongside him. You know, they were talking about how Genja and Edward have been together for so long, but what a starting performance. In the interview, or in the video segment that we had beforehand, Rekkles and YellOwStaR were saying how their synergy is driven by YellOwStaR. YellOwStaR will say a full sentence like, go. And Rekkles knows everything that means, and on a champion like Annie, it's exactly what they're talking about. 1 more minion gives me the experience I need for 6, means go.
the Flash Tibbers double kill in the very early game is what got that whole snowball rolling. And if you go even further back, that very, very beginning invade, giving sOAZ first blood, Gambit miscalculating the early stages and unfortunately giving the advantage to Fnatic already.
And you've also got to give it to sOAZ, you know, it's a ballsy pick, going with Trundle up against the Mundo Shyvana. You called it, you know, they're going to have to lock those in as the first two picks, but we knew from talking to the teams, this was the counter. This is the counter that seems to work, and Europe again showing the hand and basically leading the world and saying this is how you counter it.
Yeah, so I think it's definitely an option. It's not like it's a hard counter. It's not like it shuts it down. But the power that a Trundle gives you to steal statistics and also gain all of those bonus stats that are so important when you are able to have crisp rotations. When you have a Trundle that can steal stats and tower dive with a Vi, and your whole team is there to back you up. Let's go mid, let's go top, let's go bottom, which is what Fnatic did over and over. Genja was not in time. Genja was nowhere near where he needed to be in those setups. The rest of Gambit, they weren't at the tower. Fnatic rocked up, started hitting it, and then Gambit responded. They simply weren't in the groove of the game, I'm afraid. And
what do we make of Rekkles, obviously up against Genja? Because obviously, despite the enormous stats that he ended up with, at the start, he was quite far ahead in terms of CS. It was a 20-30 CS gap just in the lane phase.
I think that has a lot to do with the failed invade plus the zoning potential of an Annie. I think had it been a different support champion, the risk of moving into last hit, it would have been less for Genja. So what I mean by that is, as Annie charges up her stun, she just sits by the minion wave, by the line, shows her face, and almost goes, Genja, I dare you to go for that last hit, because if you do, I'm going to hit you with my full combo and shred 30% of your HP. And if I only do that once every minute and a half, it doesn't cost me a mana. It's a threat potential that YellOwStaR had, and he played it perfectly.
And finally, of course, the mid lane. What do we think of the insta-lock ALec Ich LeBlanc? He tried to burn those combos onto xPeke, but it just wasn't working.
It didn't work. I mean, that's what it boils down to. He kept xPeke in control in the laning phase. It was the only thing that we could say about it. He was unable to find targets in team fights. The dragon fight springs to mind where Mundo and Shyvana were around and Alex was off on the side above the cliff. I don't think he touched Rekkles. I really don't think he got onto Rekkles and able to pop him. The shield from Orianna was too great. Trundle was too tanky. You can't really kill Vi. With her passive, she gets a shield anyway. So I don't think that pick worked. And I probably would have preferred to see something else. Maybe even picking the Orianna first. With the mega tanks, the mobility, the damage, I think that maybe could have even worked out for them.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we do need to take a quick 5-minute break here. But when we come back, Shox and Joe will be talking to xPeke from Fnatic about their first victory of the season. Then the